Hi, my name's Melissa. I'm an American expat living in Vienna, Austria. Today I wanted to share with you a recipe I created 2 weeks ago while looking for ways to incorporate more gelatin into my diet. To read the post that inspired my chocolate raspberry pudding recipe, please visit the website listed below. This recipe is fairly simple and straightforward. It only has 6 ingredients: gelatin, coconut milk, heavy cream, creme fraiche, dark chocolate, and raspberries. You might wonder at the combination of ingredients for this recipe, but each was specifically chosen for a purpose. The coconut milk is full of medium-chain fatty acids. It's a very heart-healthy saturated fat. To read about the benefits of coconut milk, click here. The creme fraiche is also a healthy fat. It has a rich and yummy taste. It brings a very slight tanginess to the dish. Most importantly, it's full of probiotics, but more on that later. If you're trying to imagine the taste, it would be as if sour cream and mascarpone cheese got married and had a baby. Today, in my recipe, I am using 77% chocolate. If you, of course, could use a fabulous bar of Belgium 86% chocolate, Lindt 90% chocolate, 70% chocolate if you're more of a mild fan, or you could go with the medium 85. Just depends on what's up to you. Raspberries are a perfect primal fruit. They're low on the glycemic scale and full of fiber. If you're lucky, you'll get the kind that are tart, sour, and sweet. They're a perfect companion to the velvet chocolatiness of this dish. The last ingredient is heavy cream. The cream I use is 36% fat. I added the cream because I wanted to round out the subtle flavors of the dish. I also wanted to add more fat to the recipe. More fat, you say? To which I would answer, why yes, more fat. All joking aside, at 92% fat, 4% net carbs, and 4% protein, this dish keeps me firmly in the ketogenic zone. If you're going to include this recipe as a regular part of your diet, please remember that these are replacement calories, not to be added on top of what you are already eating. Let's step into the kitchen, shall we? I don't like washing dishes, and so usually I put the cream and the gelatin together in the pan that I'm going to use to heat it. Gelatin is good for you. To read more about gelatin, click here. Cream like this reminds me of my grandmother. When I was very, very little, I remember sitting at her kitchen counter watching her work. She'd purchase milk at the local dairy, and I can still remember her skimming the cream off of the top of the large glass jar of milk in order to save that cream for later. It looked just like this. You can see how thick it is and clumpy. In my pan, and you just mix the 2 ingredients together. Anyway, it should only take a minute or 2 for the gelatin to soften. I usually go back to surfing the web or working on my book, and then when I happen to remember that it's here, then I come back and start the next step. Since we have a moment, let's talk about probiotics and fat. Probiotics are the bacteria in our digestive system that make up the microflora in our gut that processes the food that we eat. If you want to learn more about probiotics, visit this link, or this link. Fats are a lot healthier than we've been led to believe. The key is to making sure that we incorporate healthy fats into our diets. Naturally occurring, minimally processed fats are best, like olive oil, organic butter, rendered fats like lard or bacon grease, high-fat dairy items like creme fraiche and other cheeses, or you can just go for fatty items like salmon, ribeye steak, avocados, and nuts. To learn more about the role fats can play in our diet, click here. I found that if you whisk the creme fraiche up a little bit, then you won't end up with chunks of creme fraiche throughout your pudding. Just smash it up at first and then whisk it a little bit, okay? A side note for your creme fraiche. Creme fraiche is a delicious companion to fresh blueberries. It also dollops perfectly into a homemade spicy tomato soup, a citrusy borscht, or a hearty beef stew. Oftentimes when your coconut milk is cold, there'll be a little bit of coconut cream at the top. Try to resist eating it and make sure it all gets into the bowl, okay? Just pour it in and then mix it together. I find find when whisking this, if you just stir back and forth, that's the best motion instead of around in a circle, then it could get all over you. So lastly, rinse your raspberries, and then we'll just smash them with the fork. Set them aside till later. Pretty simple. We've taken our raspberries, we've smashed them with a fork till we end up with this. Additionally, you might want to whisk the mixture while it's heating up on the stove. Watch. So believe me when I tell you that when you're melting high quality, good chocolate, you should do it slowly and you should do it on low heat. So now that our chocolate is melted, we're going to whisk it together and then we're going to fold it into our creme fraiche mixture. Make sure that all the ingredients are incorporated well together. And then lastly, we're going to stir in our berries and voila, we'll be done. So lastly, we'll just pour it into our serving dishes, put them in the refrigerator, and let them chill for at least a few hours. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to do this one-handed, but that's the gist. I'll mix it more thoroughly, but there you go. We're just making sure that all the ingredients are smooth together. Now we'll just add in our berries. You can make this recipe into a replacement meal, serve it in a smaller portion for a sensible dessert, or alternatively, you could spoon it out to make an elegant flourish to the end of a fine meal. To spoon out a dessert, I'll show you later, but basically you take a hot spoon and you roll the topmost layer from a dish into a swirl. You might have to re-wet the spoon to ensure an unmarred surface, but that's how you get it. A little dessert cup. And when you cut into it, it has a beautiful red colors. This decadently delightful dessert will fill you right up. When I eat a full serving of it, I find I don't want to eat anything more. It's satiating, it's satisfying, it hits all the right notes, chocolatey, creamy, tangy, and tart, with just the right amount of natural sweetness from the berries. You'll end up making this recipe again and again. Bon appetit!